Good morning from Element. And the chaos that we call Monday.
I like to think, okay, so like,
Gonna fix my hair.
for example, last night I put myself, nowhere to fly, I put myself to bed, 9:30 p.m. Had my like sleepy tea, took
Yeah.
my melatonin, like
Good,
we're,
yeah.
this is setting ourselves
Yeah,
up,
do it.
waking up early.
Yeah.
I fall asleep fine, everything's
Sure.
fine, but like 2:45 a.m., shut up.
No.
Oh yeah, and it was like, oh, the camera in the bedroom's not working. I have to go into the nursery and I have to fix it, and then of course she wakes up, and then there's the whole hoopla, and so then that turns into now I'm wide awake until like
Obviously.
4:30.
Oh, sweet Lord, no.
So then
Nope.
my alarm at 6 a.m. Yeah, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I was like, yeah, no.
But to be fair, you were up for 2 hours in the middle of the night. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But doesn't she look lovely despite no sleep? I mean, can you imagine if she got a full 8 hours?
I mean, I
God.
don't wash my hair, but you,
We
I
know
don't
this.
do it.
We
so
know
it's
this.
like
She
a
had, that's why your
healthy
healthy, or that's why your hair is so healthy.
Well, it's not that healthy.
Sure.
So yeah, but what my point to that is like it doesn't matter. Chaos ensues on Monday morning. It just doesn't. You can be as prepared as you want to be. It just doesn't matter.
I know, and I always hear those really cool people who are like, "Oh, Mondays, let it be a reflection of the rest of your week." I'm like, "Oh dear God, please no!"
no.
Like
That was a dumpster fire.
That was
Please no. Please God no.
that would be terrible for people like you and I.
And
so.
this is my first coffee. Like it's just.
No, and we're all chipper today. Look at us, all Christmassy. December. Can
It's December.
you believe it, peeps?
I
That's
don't want
crazy.
to believe it.
Nope, because before you know it, it'll be January 1st, and then starting everything over again. Yay! No, it'll be good. It'll be good. And you're going to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia's a little older. We were just talking about that. She's walking and running and
yeah.
flirting, you were saying?
she's getting
So
into
cute.
she's getting into the silly. She will like go up to like a boy and she'll be like, "Hi."
She gets it from her mama.
Yeah. And then her dad's like, "Stop it, stop that."
Oh, it only
But
begins.
it's funny. Yes, and we did an advent calendar for her, so she
Oh,
gets
fun.
so she gets a book a day.
Look at
Yeah.
that. That's so cute.
But then Dad made a very valid point. He's like, "Well, now she's just gonna expect like a gift every single day."
Have fun with that. You thought Hanukkah would be busy. That would be insanity.
Yeah.
No, that's
Just
super
couldn't
cool.
help but drag it out. So here we are.
I know. And we're excited. We're having our office party this week.
Mhm.
A little bit of bowling, a little
Yep.
bit of Thai food. So that should be
A lot of
fun.
fun,
Mhm.
festive.
Yuppers. And then next week we have our client Christmas party, which is going to be really fun.
It's gonna be so. I'm really. looking
I'm
forward to it.
excited.
Yeah.
We're going to do some really fun stuff. So hopefully, if you're a client of ours, you better show up because
Please.
it's going to be a good time. So, and it is dropping. But anyways, we're not talking about that. So today, what are we talking about?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about. A lot of people are wondering what's the market like right now. What's and
It's
so
a good time to buy.
and I think it's good to talk about this because I don't think a lot of realtors do talk about it. But we are into a slower market. But what that means is that houses just aren't moving.
Clarification.
Sorry,
Slower market, but the market is still
it's really strong.
It's balanced actually. There's
Yeah.
a good number of homes out there, a good number of buyers. But yeah, slower in terms of the 4 seasons. Winter is
Yes.
probably the slower
Statistically,
of them.
and
Yeah.
we might be wrong this
Can
year.
you say that again?
Statistically,
Excellent.
okay.
I was watching a movie yesterday where they didn't say that properly. So
Oh, I was like, did I say it wrong?
no, you don't. Go
So
on.
people are really interested in knowing what's going on, and so my kind of canned response is always the market's strong.
Yes.
But when we get into these cooler months, we'll say there is.
Cooler. Do you mean tundra-like conditions?
I mean,
Yeah.
Allison in the Arctic.
Exactly.
I'm with her. I can't have a cold. Our office manager, she's like from Georgia. She's like, you don't know anything. That's fine. We don't.
Nope.
But what I was saying is that when you get into these colder months, there is an opportunity to capitalize on that as a buyer.
Yep, definitely. Sorry, the reason I hesitate is not because it's not true. It's true. I think any time of year there is the opportunity to do that. But I guess maybe we talked about this subject. So it's basically strategy when buying overpriced homes. The thing that we don't want to encourage is every single buyer out there seeing a house that's $500,000 and trying to get it for $300,000. Not likely to happen. What we mean by overpriced homes are homes that have been sitting on the market for a good length of time, and there might be the opportunity they might be overpriced. Now, remember, like anything, it's all a matter of perspective. A seller selling that overpriced home believes truly that the worth of their home is that high. But the buyer does not. Obviously, because no one's making an offer, or if they have made offers, they've been lower offers and the seller hasn't accepted them. So there's two sides to this, and we're going to talk to both sides here. So go ahead.
So on
the
buying side, I think the first sort of red tape that you have is that it's the emotion of, okay, well, the house is listed here, and I've worked with my realtor. We feel strongly that the house is actually worth a little bit down here. But initially, we just don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to bring you this offer that we've prepared because we feel that this might offend you, which that does happen.
Yeah, and it's very considerate to think that way.
Yeah,
absolutely,
and it's human nature that we don't want to offend one another, right? So that's just
not our goal.
It's a number one kind of barrier that you have to try to gain that property. But there is a strategy to that as well. So when we are talking with our clients and we've come down to the numbers, we've kind of figured out that, there's really nothing wrong with this home. They might just be missing the mark a little bit on the price. Yeah. So the first thing you do is you just open up the conversation. You just feel it out and see, would you be willing to discuss these numbers? Would you be willing to look at an offer that looks like this?
But in fairness, make sure that you know your numbers.
Yes.
Make sure that your realtor's gone through it, and don't just take, and we've talked about this in the past, don't just take the number that your realtor is giving you. Ask why, ask how, ask where, ask all of those questions, because if your realtor is not us, and they haven't done their homework the way that they should and compared like houses to like houses,
similar areas.
Yeah, you don't, I get that it sounds really nice as a buyer when your realtor's like, oh yeah, you could get this house for $50,000 under. That's really cool in theory, but let's justify that, because if you're going to go to the other party and potentially offend them, or go to the other party and try to offer something a lot less, just turn the tables for 1 second. If this was your home and someone was coming to you and saying your house is worth X thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars less than what you're putting it up for, how would you want to hear that information? It would be hard to hear to begin with. But secondly, if I'm a pretty rational, reasonable person, I'd like to think.
Most times.
You'd have to present a really nice argument for me. Like, okay, well, looking at 20 other houses, this kind of makes sense. I believe your house kind of sits around there. Okay, that's a reasonable argument. For you to just say, well, I just feel like it's worth $50,000 less. Well, you know what? I'm probably not going to take that super well as a seller. So make sure to really understand your numbers. And make sure that even if your realtor gives them to you, ask them, where did you find them? What were you comparing it to? Break this down for me a little bit, just so that you feel a little more empowered coming up with that number. And let's be fair, like our big thing here at Element is we want win-win situations.
Yes.
We're not about win-lose. We're not about here to take other people's houses away from them at stellar prices. We're here to prepare a winning negotiating stance. And yes, that does sometimes mean some sellers are overpriced, but we're here to present it in the best light possible, because we're working for our buyer, but we also want to make sure the seller understands we're not here to get them. We're not here to make them lose. Yeah, take them for a deal. That's not our job. Our job is to negotiate the best deal possible for everybody involved, and obviously look out for our clients. But just know, like, that should never be the stance of your realtor. Like, let's go get them. Okay.
Well, and I think that there's some personalities that
some
does
personalities,
work
absolutely.
With. Yeah. It's not our personality.
No, it's not. So yeah, just try to, in those situations, there's absolutely, I've seen them happen where they come up on the market and they sell for $100,000 less. Those do happen, but I wouldn't say they're the norm.
And what we don't know is the situation. We don't know what's going on in the back end, and we never will know until we talk.
And sometimes we haven't been through those houses.
Right.
Sometimes we don't know if they have really, really bad basements, or they have really big issues, or lots of sloping, or who knows. There could be a multitude. And sometimes the sellers just need to sell, right? Because they're moving provinces, or they're, who knows,
There's been a difference in marital status. There's so many issues as to why people need to sell. And like I said, they don't list the circumstance on their property description, as it turns out. So we don't know what's going on the back end, but regardless, right, people just want the most amount of money for their home, and
buyers want the best deal. Of course. And that's fair. And like I said, a good realtor will find the right balance to bring those two parties together. But definitely don't be afraid to ask your realtor, hey, if we were going to offer this, would that make sense? Could we try? Your realtor should have a really good response to that. And a lot of it has to do, how long has the house been on the market? If it's been on the market for 1 day, what are your thoughts on that?
It's not going very far.
You have to remember, when a seller puts their house on the market, the first week or two, they're really expectant. They're really hopeful. They're like, yes, we're going to get a great price for our house. We're going to get what we've asked for.
Well, the showings are quite strong.
The showings are strong. They have quite a bit of interest. So when you come in and you offer less than ask by quite a bit, I'm not talking 5,000-10,000. I'm talking, if you're thinking like 50 grand under, you have to understand the psyche of the seller is not there yet. And so don't be offended if they're like, yeah, please don't bring us that offer yet. Right? Maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in 4 weeks, maybe in 6 weeks. But that first week on the market, just remember a seller's real excited about possibly getting what they're asking or more, right?
Yeah. So the key points there is just, again, remember that just like you, they're people too.
Absolutely.
And we need to, it's our mandate anyway, that we always treat people that way. We treat people the way we want to be treated, and we really consider the other side of things and what might be going on in their situation.
And remember, that's a really good negotiating strategy, because if someone is not considering the other side and understanding how they're going to react to what you're presenting to them, in my opinion, you're not a great negotiator.
No.
Right? Because you could be setting your client up for failure by bringing an offensive, terrible, horrible offer. And then let's say another party changes their mind, the buyer changes their mind and wants to offer more. Well, now you have a bad taste in the mouth of the seller towards you. So there's always a strategy to everything. So make sure you have someone in your corner who understands that and respects that, because that's a big deal. So.
And the number one thing of all of that is knowing really well at the core what the numbers are. So that's sitting down with your realtor, going through the MLS, going through the past sales and history, and knowing solidly how to present that offer based on the numbers. It's all based in fact.
Exactly.
Okay. So
other side of this,
when we flip the script, we have to obviously, like we said, when you're a buyer, you have to consider the seller. So when you're a seller, you have to consider the buyer. So the number one thing when you're working with sellers who obviously want top dollar for their home, I don't know anyone who doesn't.
Yeah, no one ever comes to us and is like, oh, could you get the least amount for my house, please? Because that would be really cool. Yeah. Don't think that's ever happened. Yeah, no.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Actually, I would say I've had to have a conversation where a client said, you know what, I think, I've come to them with a range, and they say, you know what, I think we just don't want to be on market too long. We'd like to maybe list it a little bit lower.
Yeah, but there's strategies to handle that.
Yeah.
I prefer to see that, because chances are we can get way more money that way than the other way, where it's like, I want top dollar, but your house doesn't have what it takes to be top dollar. That's probably the hardest situation to deal with, because there's just a lot more challenges to presenting that.
That first argument was based in like a realistic, they were in a tougher market, and I understood it, but I also saw the opportunity, and I saw the product, and I was able to bring them more than what they thought that they were going to get.
Yeah, that's always ideal.
It's always ideal. But number one is, when you're sitting down with your realtor, it has to be super crisp and clear what the objective is in selling this home. So
most of them out there like, to sell the home. Like, we get that. We get that.
But there's always kind of like a number where this is acceptable to us, or there's a time frame. This is acceptable to us. So if we don't reach this number by this date, this would be acceptable. So knowing someone's threshold is super important.
And understanding their priorities. I think exactly that. So is the priority timeline? Is the priority money? Is the priority, what is the priority, and figuring it out from there. That doesn't mean if your priority is timeline that we're going to shoot this thing to the ground and then whatever, but it does mean it changes our strategy as time progresses, right?
Readjusting.
Readjusting, for sure.
So that's kind of the first thing. Then as a seller too, when you do start to market your home, when you do start to have a great amount of showings, and this is fantastic, and then you get an offer that's not ideal. You have to try really
deep within your core, and we get it. These are your homes. These are the where you raised your babies.
We get that.
We get your grandkids have run through these hallways. We understand. Please do never think that we don't understand that this is your home. Unless you're an investor out there, we understand this is your baby here. But do everything you can not to personalize it. Try to look at the offer and understand this buyer is doing probably what you would do if you were purchasing, trying to get the best value. And understand, as realtors, we can tell you all day long that your house, and this is why it's really important that you understand the numbers and that you listen to reason when it comes to selling your house. Because what happens is a realtor can come in and say, yeah, your house, it's a $350,000. Oh yeah, we'll go out for $450. We'll sell this sucker all day long. Cool. But unless that realtor is buying that home for $450,000, please listen to reason. Listen to the numbers. If they can't prove that your house falls within the range of being able to sell for that amount, it most likely will not. So going back to not taking the offers personally, I think even with us, we're willing to try higher numbers than what we would consider to be fair market value. But in that situation, when you get an offer that falls in line with more what the market is saying, try not to take it personally, because these buyers are just trying to make a good investment. Oh, perfect.
That's super handy.
That's super awesome. So just try not to take offers too personally. Try to look at the whole of them, and remember, oftentimes it's a starting point. It's a conversation starter. So if an offer truly is terrible as a seller, you can reject it. No harm, no foul, nothing was done wrong. Yes, it hurt that someone thought that your house wasn't worth what you thought it was worth, but really do all you can to not take it personally, because oftentimes there is gold or a diamond in the rough with some of those really not so great offers that can materialize if you're open to conversation, if you're open to negotiating, and if you're open to understanding the reality of the situation. Your house may not be what you thought it was worth, and yes, it could be the timing of the year, it could be multiple other factors that are out of your control, but at the end of the day, we don't determine your value. Buyers determine the value of your home, and you have to be willing to accept that as a seller.
Yeah, and when you first said having an offer that was lower, and that's offensive, and we understand that. We get that. But we strongly suggest that if you get that offer that it's really not acceptable to you, then let's talk about what is. Yep. Let's tell them what is acceptable.
There's nothing to lose in countering someone, because that's like reissuing another offer and saying, look, this offer did not go well with us. How about this? Yeah. So don't.
The buyer doesn't know until you tell them.
Exactly.
They won't know.
And the buyer is putting a feeler out there. Like, the fact that you're getting an offer shows that someone is interested in your property. So don't throw that away. Don't just say, well, that was just offensive. Cool, but where can we go from here? What can we try?
Yeah, try not to kill the momentum on that.
Try not. Yeah. And you'd be surprised. And the other thing too that I will say is we've had this with some properties where they have been a little bit overpriced, and we're getting verbal offers all at the same price point.
Yep.
That says something. That says buyers don't think it's worth much higher than that. And again, please be reminded, we don't set the value. No. You don't set the value of your home. Buyers do. So always keep that very cognizant in the back of your mind. If you're getting the same number over and over and over again, what does that say? Your house is probably worth very much close to that, and it probably will be what you'll get for your home. So either you're okay with that or you're not okay with that, but be sure to be honest with yourself so that you can actually move the process forward and not waste your own efforts or your realtor's efforts or the buyer's efforts who are coming in through your house, getting attached to a certain degree, and then getting shut down because they're not meeting your expectations. So.
And another tidbit to say too is, Mon touched on, we will help you place your property in a position that is maybe a bit higher than what we wanted, because it's what you feel is worth, and we get that. But be super mindful and cognizant of the agent that will just go with your number. They're going to do what you say, and they're not even coming up with the numbers to back that up. They don't have the range for you.
And not only that, but don't explore the pros and cons of doing that.
Right. And the biggest pitfall for you, the seller, is what they're doing is they're actually wasting the most valuable amount of time of
your best exposure.
Exactly. So when you,
I think what you want to clarify is if we do agree to something, we also agree to list your house a little bit higher than what we would recommend, we make it very clear to you what our recommendation is.
Yes.
And some people hate us for it and some people love us for it. But at the end of the day, our responsibility to our sellers is to be honest and forthright and to advocate for you. And we can't advocate based on non-reality.
Yes.
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Because if it's something that we can't defend in your name, then it's going to be really difficult when those offers do come in.
Yeah.
To try and defend that higher price point.
Absolutely. So, anyways, on that bright note,
that was
Merry Christmas. That felt really heavy. I felt very heavy. Anywho,
but you know what? Sometimes this business does get that way, and it is.
What? No, it's always light and fluffy and airy all the time. Just kidding. It's not. It's terrible. Just
There are some very difficult conversations that we have to have, but
Yeah.
we don't mind having them because we
don't.
know that it serves our clients better.
And it's part of our package. It's part of what we do to advocate for you and educate you and make sure that you guys have all the information you need to make the best decision for you and your families. So if you guys ever have any questions or you're interested in learning more about our services, please never hesitate to call us, DM us, email, text, whatever. We're here to help in any way we can.
Like you're 95 when you
I
do it.
don't know why you
I don't know.
that old.
I don't know.
Anyways,
All right.
have a good Monday. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.